I'm Kevin.
I'm Kristen.
We are the Marriage in the Buff podcast.
Yep.
And it's our weekly marriage podcast where we talk about everything marriage and how to sometimes we share stories of people overcoming trials and things in marriage. And as you can see, we are not in the podcast studio today.
No, this is not what is it called? A green
Screen?
No,
this is a green wall. We are at Kalahari in Sandusky, one of the indoor water parks, where it's over 70, and we are February, and in Buffalo it's like 10, and in here it was like 5 at one point on our journey this morning.
Yeah, it's not over 70 outside.
No,
inside it's got, and I think it's probably, like we said, close to 80.
Yeah, it is hot.
Yeah, it's hot
down there and humid.
In the water park section.
Yeah, so we didn't get a chance to record the podcast. So we said,
it's not just us this weekend.
No, we have our daughter and her friend who are here, and it's not the weekend, it's the middle of the week.
Yes, but I feel like it's a weekend. It's where I wore my Lake Weekend shirt.
It's Wednesday.
I know.
So we're here for a couple days. But it's funny that we talk about overcoming struggles and all that kind of stuff. We have other people come talk about that. But this morning we got up to leave, and around 6:30 we were leaving the island, leaving Buffalo, headed south for our 4+ hour adventure to get here. And it was very cold, and we've had snow, ice, sleet, a little bit of rain, snow, ice, like over 10 inches at our house, which is odd because we're north and we're on an island. It's like a snow dome around our area of Buffalo, but we have a lot, and under everything is ice. So I'm sitting in the car, and Kristen comes out and falls on her butt.
But before that...
Oh, she had gone in to get a towel. I'm like, we don't need towels. It's the water park. They have towels. So I yelled, Kristen, what are you doing? And she slipped and fell.
He startled me as I was walking. He yelled to me.
Yes.
So I fell.
So she fell, and I'm like, oh. She looked like she was making a snow angel for a little bit.
No,
so I was like,
screamed.
Oh. She did. 6:30 in the morning, she screamed.
As I went down, my one leg went one way, and my other leg went the other way, and I felt what I feel like was something break or snap or something in my left ankle.
Yeah.
And it felt bad.
So she's on the ground. I get up.
Hobbled.
I come over, and she's like, give me a minute. She gets up. She gets in the car, and I'm like,
and I felt like I was going to throw up right away. Like I got nauseous immediately. But I didn't tell anyone.
No,
I just got in the car because I didn't want to ruin anyone's trip.
I'm like, here, take some Tylenol. So she took some Tylenol.
Oh, yes. And it was it's Kaya's birthday trip.
So,
and I left my foot there, and I'm thinking, I have boots on. If this swells up, I might not get my boot off. But I was sitting there, and for the first 2 hours, I prayed, God heal my foot, God heal my foot, God heal my foot. So when we got out at Waffle House.
So yeah, 2 hours, the closest Waffle House to Buffalo, Ashtabula, Ohio. What a beautiful place. We get out to go in Waffle House, and I'm looking, and she gets out and walks in. I'm like,
I very tenderly...
Maybe it's because the kids were going so slow and I was waiting for them to get out to lock the car that I didn't notice that much. So we go in, we sit down, we eat, come back out. She still looks pretty decent to me. We stop at, what's that stupid place Kai had to stop? 7 Brew to get...
I was not going to get out of the car.
To get...
Coffee
that is supposed to be this great thing according to TikTok. It's Starbucks is better, and I don't even like Starbucks.
No, it was fine. They also have fizzes or something there, which we'll get on the way back.
So we go there.
Birthday trip. This is what she wanted for her birthday, so this was her choice.
Yeah, so we keep going. We get here. I go in. We're early. Our room's ready. So I'm like, okay. And Kristen gets out, and I thought she was going to fall over because she was in so much pain. So I got them out. I went to park because at Kalahari, you have to park like a mile away. It's not a great feature. I come in.
It's huge, though. That's
why. It is huge. And there's so many, there's room for a whole lot of people. So you park way far away. But I come in, she gets to the room, and actually she's still okay. She's hobbling around a little bit. but she's okay. We get to the room and we sit down, lay down for a little bit, and then like everybody's ready to go. The kids go to the water park. We get up to go to the water park and she's like in tears. I'm like, oh, well, this is fun.
It sort of got worse as the day went on. I took a shower. And
Well, that was way later.
yeah, but when I took
had
a
a lot of-
shower, I stepped out of the shower and I was like, I don't know if you heard me scream,
Yeah.
but like I was in a lot of pain.
So before that, though, we went to dinner. We went to Culver's and she was still hobbling around. It wasn't horrible.
Because I realized if I stepped straight down with my foot and didn't move it at all.
So then we go to Meijer, because if you are in Ohio or Michigan or the Midwest, you have to go to Meijer. It's like Walmart Plus. It's not Target, thankfully. It's Walmart Plus. They still have fishing stuff. They still have cool stuff. And they even have Carhartt. They have nicer stuff. They have a huge pet section, but it's like Walmart Plus. Nothing like Target, Walmart Plus. So we always go, we grab some stuff. And when we're walking in, I'm like, go get her one of the scooters. So she's like, I don't want a scooter. She finally acquiesces to the scooter. So she's riding around the store.
I could get around. I knew they were going to make fun of me.
So we did maybe have a couple pictures of her, but it was fun. All in good fun. And we came back and she was like really in pain coming back. And then we took a shower and she was horrible. So not together because her leg, she can't even stand.
I can't stand.
Yeah, I'd be holding her up. I'm like, hold on, let me turn you around, Grandma.
It was tough. My shower was tough.
But anyway, she gets out. She's in pain. So I'm like, okay, we had talked to this lady earlier that had a scooter at Kalahari. So I go get her a scooter. So guys, nothing says true love like getting your wife a hover round. I mean, that is like the ultimate
for the day.
Present, a hover round. That is like better than candy, better than roses.
Well, I think
the gift that keeps giving for the 24 hours you have it.
I think also the whole idea of taking another 30 to 40 minutes for me just to walk downstairs was about to drive you insane.
Yeah, and everybody else. But
I don't think you would have tolerated that for much longer.
No. But then we went down and she rode all around the water park. She almost ran over 3 people.
I did not run over
literally
anyone.
Almost killed a kid. But we go in and went around and did stuff. And we came back up to do the podcast and stuff. And the kids are at the arcade or whatever. But we came back up and she only hit me once and it was my foot and she hit the door jamb. But other than that, she did okay. Yeah. No one was injured but me.
It's easy to ride.
But from a day that started out bad, especially for her, even though she didn't share that much of it to begin. I mean, we knew what happened, but she didn't say.
I would have never told you that I thought I broke my foot if we were going on vacation somewhere. In my head, I'm thinking, as we're driving, I'm like, Thursday night, he's going to have to drop the kids off and take me straight to the hospital. Because I knew it was something. It's something. Yeah. Maybe it's just a sprain, but it hurts like crazy. I don't know. So she's in pain. We've been through this and everything else. And it was just another one of those things. And we've had a crazy couple weeks. Just like, right? Like,
I mean, yeah, like our hot water tank died.
Yesterday.
We were supposed to go to, yeah, that was yesterday. We were supposed to get ready to leave.
You fell.
Oh yeah, I fell picking your parents up. I fell, but I bounced well. Had padding.
Well, your leg didn't go one way or the other.
No, but I had the 5-pound poodle and
I know.
crap, and like I'm trying to keep the poodle so I didn't kill her, and it was something.
Yeah, you interrupted you too.
But the whole thing, it's just another one of those things. Yeah, the weather has sucked all week.
We've had ice storms.
Yep, ice, snow, ice, snow, ice, snow. But it's just like everything else in life, though. It's just like there's always something. There's always a challenge. There's always something that, especially in marriage, that you need to overcome. And, you know, a lot of times we see those things where it's like, that's it, I give up. I'm just not doing it. Especially in the weeks where it's hard. I mean, if you've got kids, if you've got jobs, you've got obligations, you've got things you need to go to, and it's really, really hard. You feel like you don't have the time to do it all. And then when things like this happen, it's just like, is it worth it? You know, or is it even worth the effort? And But, that's one of the things about marriage, that you just keep pushing through, side by side, you push through these things. And when the other person can't do what they normally do, you got to help
Get him a
them,
hug
and
around.
yeah, give them a hug around, or let them hold your hand and pull you to the
That was
ground
the
if
other
you're,
thing. I was holding every time I walked on the other leg. I know I probably hurt your hand
but
because I was
yeah,
holding tight.
but that's what we do. And, but so many times it's so easy just to say, no, we could have stayed home. We could have given up. You could have given up. You could have said, yeah, you guys just go do whatever and not do anything. And the funny thing is that I was thinking about it in it, like when we went to Meyer, you're like, no, absolutely not. I don't want that. I don't want that.
I knew you were going to make fun of me.
I hear you. And I think the other part of it, you just didn't want to accept help either. You're just like, I'll whatever, I'll be okay. And then when you got out of the shower and I heard you, I'm like, all right, I'm just going to go. I'm not going to tell you what I'm doing. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to go get it and do it. And a lot of times we have to do that as the other spouse. We have to, like, our spouse is not wanting to accept our help. They don't want to say, you know what, I need help to begin with. It's hard enough to admit you need help. And then it's a whole nother thing to accept help. Even if it's from your spouse, who should be the easiest one to accept help from.
Well, you know what I was thinking? So there are times when, so like this is stuff that will always happen, right?
Yeah.
Like falls on ice, bad weather,
Hot
too
water
much
heaters.
hot water heaters dying, too much on our plate. Like even our one daughter had a seizure now the month before last, and she can't drive, so we have to drive her around. So I have to leave work, or like just all the stuff of life.
Yeah,
And I feel like when people have that happen, because everyone's going to have it
absolutely.
happen, they're like, I can't. Like it's so heavy.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember, I think it was a sermon or something where they said, like, if your cup is empty and all this stuff hits you, you're not going to be able to hold it up. You're not going to be able to handle it. Like it will get you down.
Mm-hmm.
Just these everyday trials.
Mm-hmm.
But when your cup is full, it doesn't make it easier,
Mm-hmm.
but you're able to handle it, and your outlook is better.
Absolutely.
Like we'll get through it.
Yeah.
Okay. Like,
but I think that also is a learned thing. I think,
but it's being proactive. It's keeping your cup full.
It is. And that is important. And I think that's twofold. That number one, we talk about priorities all the time, about God, your spouse, your kids, everything else just kind of falls in line and stuff like that. So you need to keep that the first priority with God. You need to make sure you're filled with Him, that you're listening, that He's in your marriage, in the center of your marriage and stuff like that. That when you do have the issues, that you're leaning on to and into Him too. So that's full.
Right.
But then your spouse too, you need to have a healthy relationship where, you know what, there's always going to be something. I just read something in a book earlier that was talking about for an average couple, that they will argue or quarrel over little things 314 days of the year. That's almost
days or time.
It's 314 days
wow.
of the year.
Okay.
Little things, just little stupid things. Whether it's not like a big fight, it's not whatever. It might be the stupid, you left the toilet seat up, or you threw a towel here, or your pants are inside out on the floor,
or the visor is down and it annoys you.
Whatever it may be that you fight about. And everybody fights. It's not that people don't fight. It's not that people don't have challenges, but it's how you communicate through those and how you speak to your spouse and speak into those situations and stuff. You don't let those little things become some big thing or take you apart. And I think that's a huge part of things like this too. When those big things happen, if you have 314 days of just little, if you've got 150 days of just little things that you're not resolving and you're letting get to you, when those 10 days of really bad things or, really stressful things come, you're just gonna be like, it's not worth it. We can't even get through a day of, a drive together for 20 minutes. How are we going to do this?
Did the book say is 314 good, bad, normal? What? Like, because 314 seems like that's a lot of days. Like, I don't.
It does, but I mean, honestly, think about it. How
Like,
many days, like, if we're honest, if you and I are honest in the whole thing, how many times is there just something?
well, I
Whether
can't look
whether
at a
it
full year, so
oh,
you
you
have to
don't have
say
to,
in a
but
week.
so say in a week. So if we go whatever, how many times are we backing out of the driveway and I'm aggravated because I need to see it on that side and you're leaning forward, grabbing something, doing
I'd
something?
say 5 out of 7.
Okay. How many times?
I mean, not just that, not that
Yeah,
one
yeah.
thing. I just
That's what
meant
I'm
like
saying.
that. Like, 'cause
So
if you were annoyed every time we drove out of the driveway, that would be.
yeah. No, not just
Okay.
that. But I'm just saying. So about that. And then how many times are you annoyed when I don't help you do something, or the girl, or you're mad about something with one of the girls that we didn't agree on that happened, or we didn't
I
talk through,
know there's those
or
things.
stuff like that. So if you have those things and you're never speaking through them and talking through them and just like getting rid of them, you talked about that glass being empty. That glass is full that glass being full. Your glass is definitely half empty, if not less than half. It's like almost empty because of those little things are just like aggravating in the day to day. And I think that's such a huge part, because when you face stuff like this, that's how you're going into it. Like, honestly,
Right. Like, if you're already annoyed at the person.
let me tell you something. Honestly, 15 years ago, if this had happened, I would have been aggravated with you. I mean, like, why did you do that? What, we've got somewhere to go. We've got stuff. Why are we, you know what I mean? Or what's the point? Let's just stay home. Let's not, you know what I mean? But that's something I've learned in that time. And it's not, I don't know if I've learned it. I think it's just that I've learned that, you know what, stuff happens. We go into marriage. I think everybody goes into marriage with this, like, oh, it's going to be this. It's going to be great. If something bad happens, my spouse will fix it and it'll just all be perfect. And
So I don't think it's just that you've learned. I think you're getting your cup filled more often.
oh, yeah. Yeah. And that's what I'm saying with the communication too. Like, we talk through the stupid things. We don't take those as like, oh, he said that he was mad because I didn't sit back, or the stupid visor, or pants on the floor inside out, or you're mad because I didn't clean up after I did dinner, or
Throw out the onion peels.
throw out the onion peels, or
Walk past the recycling without bringing.
oh, don't take the stupid recycling out, or whatever it is, But we don't dwell on those things. And I think a lot of people dwell on those things, and those things are just those little bricks that just start building up and building up and building up.
Yeah. I mean, I think the last few years that we've worked at stuff, we realize that no one's perfect.
No. And I think that's a lot. I think that's that whole thing, the Craig Rochelle, those dangerous prayers, like, God, let me see my spouse the way you see them. And then the really dangerous one, God, let me see myself the way you see me. And I think
more easygoing than you, though.
I think it depends on what it is.
Because I don't let the real little stuff bother me.
I hear you, but if let's flip that the other way. The real big stuff. If one of the girls has something big, they'll come to me.
Well, because you're better with the big stuff.
Yeah, they'll come to me.
And I'm better in the day to day.
Maybe.
I think so. I mean, like, for example, if Tabby left a glass somewhere and I clean it up, you'd be like, what are you doing? Why are you cleaning that up? She's supposed to clean that up. And I'm like, it's a glass. It's really not a big deal. Let it go. And you're like, but this is why we shouldn't let it go. But then if there's like a mega emergency, like someone needs to be picked up because they're intoxicated or something, they're not going to call me because I'll be like, they'll call you because you're calm. So you're better in the big stuff and I'm better in the day to day.
Yeah. But I mean, and that's what marriage is all about.
Yeah. So I do think the puzzle piece thing is a good analogy.
Yeah. And I think a lot of that is the ways we are different, like polar opposites in so many things. But even our girls would say, like, there's some things you come to me for. There's some things you go to you for. You know what I mean? There's just things. And I think a lot of it is like, there's things I can understand that you can't.
Like
There's
the
things,
medicine stuff. Like, I don't like the medicine stuff. Like, I pass out from blood.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like the medicine stuff. Like, the day you cut your finger off and I walked in the kitchen and there was like blood everywhere.
it's like new.
Yeah. It wasn't his whole finger, but it was literally the tip of his finger, to the point where I literally found the tip of his finger. It was disgusting. It was awful.
Yeah, but it's all good. But I think there's so many things in marriage that are like that, like, you know, it's very weird. Like, we communicate totally different to people, I think, even to other couples or things like that. I mean, we have a different communication style, if it's one-on-one or something like that. I think it's really good. Like we're a good team when we talk, because we just kind of talk through it, and we just like kind of play off of each other and stuff like that. And like, it is good, 25 years later. And many times I do think I know what you're thinking, and I know you know what I'm thinking. And especially in stuff like that, if we're going through a conversation, like, I can see where you're going and know what to add to it, or you do the same thing.
I sometimes give you surprises.
You do. I mean, that's it. You put a microphone in your hand and put us on a stage, I have no idea what's going to happen. That's when you've got these like wild cards.
Do I embarrass you?
Sometimes.
Really?
Yeah, not very often.
Yeah, I feel like I'm really careful about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
feel like back in the day, like maybe when we were a young couple, I probably just said anything.
Young couple.
No, do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I feel like it was just like, bleh.
Yeah.
But now I think I'm very careful. But also, I see you through a God lens.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the key. Like, that's what we have to ask God for. Like you say, to see your spouse as
dangerous
he does.
prayers.
But like, let me see him through a lens of how you want me to see him.
Yeah.
Not a perfect person, because I don't think God would want me to see you as a perfect person.
Not this side of eternity.
That's why, like, grace is included in the God lens. Love is included in the God lens. Yeah. Mercy is included in the God lens. And I feel like that's our prayer.
Yeah.
For each other, for our kids, for people.
Yeah, I do pray that every day. Let me see you the way he sees you, and let me see myself. And I still think that's the hardest prayer. Because if we're honest and we look in and that introspection, it's just like, wow, how can I be mad at her? How can that upset me?
You know what got it for you? When you read something that said, I'm his daughter, or
sacred marriage.
What was the analogy?
Sacred marriage.
Like, would you want
yeah. So as parents, and as we're parents, especially parents of girls, if one of my girls got married, when they get married, if they were to get married, whatever, if they're with this guy, would I want that guy to treat them the way I treat you? And that's kind of the litmus test. Because if I wouldn't want that guy to treat my daughter that way, God doesn't want me to treat his daughter that way.
Yeah.
And that's huge.
So that's a big analogy for you.
Yeah. That's from
much bigger for you than me. I can't.
Yeah, that's from Sacred Marriage by Gary Thomas. We're going to do that in our small group, one of our small groups.
That'll be a good one to do.
So it'll be good. But yeah, there is so much of that. I mean, that's the same book that says, what if marriage isn't so much to make you happy as it is to make you holy? And that
to me is perspective changing, I think, because for myself, it's easier to walk through the hard times if I know there's a purpose for the struggle, or if there's a purpose for my suffering, and giving things to God. So the purpose of the refining through marriage is bringing us closer to Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's really good, because we do go into marriage. Maybe as a Christian, you don't as much. I mean, if you are a mature Christian, which That's a hard measuring stick. If you're really mature in your faith and you know who God is,
You give a lot of people the benefit of the doubt when
well, I'm just saying,
I
if
just
that
think going
is,
into marriage, lots of
I'm just
people are
saying,
naive,
then
period, because you're
then it
single.
may be different. But like, if not, if you don't know God for sure, if you don't know what's going on, whatever, if you don't really have a clue, you go in with that like happily ever after mentality.
Mm.
Like, this is the one, this is my soulmate. We're going to just get married and we're going to have a happy family. We're going to have kids and we'll have the greatest job. We'll have a big house and we'll live here and have cars and we'll get old and retire and live the good life and raise our grandkids. And that's the American dream. I mean, it's really part of the American dream. But when we flip that
Mm-hmm.
to holier ever after, I'll tell you this: we do a lot of we do premarital. We do this with a lot of couples, so we see it on both sides of it.
Mm-hmm.
We know a lot of people. We talk to a lot of couples and stuff. That first year, somewhere in that first year, most people, that'll start to flip. It's like, whoa, happier. Like, I wasn't expecting this. I didn't know this.
A lot of things become harder when you're faced with a day to day.
Yeah, it's like,
forever,
oh, this is every day. Forever. Like, oh, what do you, that stupid toothpaste or that towel, or you snore, or.
How do you get the toothpaste? I mean, we have different toothpaste, but I already packed my toothpaste this morning. I had to use your toothpaste this morning.
Oh, did you enjoy that?
No, I hate your toothpaste. Cinnamon toothpaste. Like, it's gross. Why is it caked on the, do you not, like, you can't even close your cover on your toothpaste. There's like disgusting.
It's down at the bottom. That's the safety layer.
It's so gross. Like, I don't even understand how you're doing that.
What's that stupid movie?
Goonies?
Ben Stiller. Ben Stiller.
Meet the Parents?
No. And Brett Favre's in it. The Beans and Franks movie.
I don't know.
Something about Mary. When he's at his grandmother's and she has the ice cream and it's all freezer burnt and she says that's the protective layer. You just have to scrape it off to get your. That's like my toothpaste. That's the protective layer. You just gotta.
So your
it's just on the bottom of the cap. It's not the toothpaste.
Anyway,
is good. You brought us into that.
But there's a good example. Yeah. You could get annoyed with your husband's toothpaste because he's gross, or you could
we have separate
get your own toothpaste.
I mean, that's kind of like
there are some easy solutions. They don't have to be hard.
Think about this one. When we first got married, do you remember one blanket?
Yeah, that was rough.
Do you remember one blanket?
Do you know why?
Number one, you like a big fluffy down, make me sweat blanket, and I do not. So that's number one problem.
But that wasn't the main problem.
What was the main problem?
That you roll yourself into a cocoon and I don't get a blanket. Why you roll yourself into a cocoon?
So
you've stopped rolling yourself.
Sometime later we decided what? We would have
separate blankets. I get my own down comforter.
Blankets forever.
It was perfect.
It really was. And then honestly, after we had our issues and we came back.
Well, no, you know what it actually was? We moved to a queen size bed.
Mm-hmm.
We had a king size blanket.
Yeah, so that was better.
And it actually made it okay, and you stopped rolling. So that
was better.
Is actually why we went to one blanket, because it worked out okay then. Yeah. But then we realized that the queen size bed was a stupid idea.
Yeah, because we have animals.
And we needed a king size bed.
Again.
And we just haven't gone back to two blankets.
No, but I think we have also learned cocoon. We actually sleep closer to each other, whereas we used to sleep further apart. You know what I mean?
I don't think we sleep that farther apart. But
that's a compromise.
We got something else. We got the mattress cover that if you're cold, you can just turn that on.
Which rarely happens. I did this week.
There are lots of easy solutions. Like, I feel...
Oh, yeah, that could have been a huge thing. That could still be, 25 years later, that could still be a huge, stupid thing that we'd fight over. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it definitely wouldn't be, because I can't be cold for my whole life.
Yeah. So,
I'd wake up freezing, and you'd be in a cocoon.
So, but that's just one of those things that you overcome. And I think that is one of the things that... I think every time we overcome a challenge like that, whatever it is, whether it's just something stupid like that, or whatever... it does make us a little more holier that we. No, I'm
We
serious.
have
I
two
think
different toothpaste, so we're holier.
I think
No,
we
it just sounded funny.
Well, no, I get it, but I think we compromise and we learn. Like seriously, like what would you remember the stupid WWJD? The what would Jesus do?
I never
Like
had one.
okay,
I
you
never
did.
had one. I
Oh,
did not.
I thought you said heard of that.
Oh, I've heard of it. I never
Yeah.
had
So
one
the
of
whole
those.
thing. Okay. Wow. We fight over a blanket. What would Jesus do? Do you think Jesus would care if you're fighting, or would be like, oh, you can't? I think Jesus would be okay. I think he'd be okay. He'd figure it out
You
and
know
work it
what?
out.
Even
So
though
I think
people
those
think
little.
that was cheesy, that really was a good concept. Like, if we actually really did stop and think what Jesus would do in that situation, it would give us a lot of perspective. I never really.
It would. But I mean, I think that's something that we need to step back sometimes and be like, listen, this might annoy me to death, but would it be is that like a game changer? Is that like a wow? Oh, and I know we also say a lot of times, listen, are you willing to die on that hill? Are you willing to let your marriage die because you don't like how somebody does their toothpaste, or you don't like.
We have seen couples in some kind of a back and
Absolutely.
forth with like a literal stalemate. We're just sitting here watching that argument, and you're like, are you willing to die on that hill? Like,
Yeah, I mean, I've said it. It's like, really, is this the thing? Is I don't care. It could be 2 years of marriage. Is 2 years of marriage, is your commitment to one another, are you going to give up on that because, somebody didn't load the dishwasher right? Or,
I don't think that's it, but yeah.
But I'm just saying, but there are people that we have talked to that it's just like, oh, they don't do that. They don't load the dishwasher. But then you get into that whole tit for tat
when I put
thing.
your knives in the dishwasher.
I do. They're not supposed to be in there. But you have that whole tit for tat thing. Oh, well,
I
who
washed
did this?
every
Oh, but he
single
did
one
this.
of your knives before we left.
Well, thank you. That's
By
very nice
hand.
of you. That's very nice of you. But is it worth it? You know what I mean? Is it really worth it? And I think this week, like today especially, it's like I thought about that in my mind when we were driving here.
You were annoyed?
It's a 4 hour. No, I was like, I would have been. Wait,
you thought about what?
That I would have been annoyed, and I would have, and I did. I thought about it, and every time when I heard you, it was more concern than thinking about it. I'm aggravated and stuff like that.
Because I do think that early on, or even 5 years ago, or maybe 4 years ago, or maybe last year, I don't know. Okay, well, at some point, you probably would have gotten annoyed, which is such a weird. If we're sitting talking about it, first of all, I don't think we would ever sit and talk about it. But if we're sitting talking about it, like, that is a weird response to someone else being in pain.
Yeah, but I don't.
It's got to come from a place of selfishness. So it's definitely growth.
100%.
Because you're not putting yourself in caring about the other person. Yeah. You're caring about what's happening with yourself, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's just the law of priority. Like when we get the whole thing out of, it's God, spouse, kids. We're not up there.
The law of priority.
We're not up there.
It is. It is how to love your spouse. What's that verse? Like you are to love me like Jesus loved the church
and die for you.
Right. So it is the sacrifice and each of us putting each other above the other. Yeah. So it's not really the law of, it's like deeper. It even goes even further than that. It's a law of sacrifice.
That's what Ephesians 5.
Yeah, I know it's Ephesians.
Where it talks about,
couldn't remember the number.
Husbands, love your wife as the weaker vessel. Wives, respect your husband and stuff like that. That's another one of those that the people just, wait a minute. What does that mean? The weaker, the whatever.
Book is very
but I get it.
It's deeper into that. But what I'm saying is not that part of it. I'm talking more about the self-sacrificing part of that.
But that is the whole thing, because it goes on, and that's where it does talking about it. It talks about, Jesus in the church. Mm-hmm. So if I'm Jesus, which I'm not, but just in that analogy, what did he do? He died.
Right.
Period. He didn't think about it. He didn't like, if you do this, if you do that. No, he He died for all of us because we suck.
And it's not that you're Jesus, it's that that's the love you're to emulate.
Exactly.
So it goes back to what would Jesus do, right?
Exactly. And I think that's something, I know we've talked about it in some of our groups and stuff like that. Like, there's not many guys would say, okay, like there's a car coming or there's a bullet coming. Would you move in front of it? Would you push your wife out of the way and die?
Mm-hmm.
And pretty much every guy is going to raise their hand and say, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you're going to dinner. You want to go here, but your wife is set on going here.
Mm-hmm.
Would you die? Would you just say, okay, and go where she wanted to go? That's hard.
Why is that harder?
I don't know. I'm just saying, I think it's harder to die in the day-to-day.
Everyone would agree with you. I don't think you're wrong.
It's harder to die.
I'm just wondering why that's harder.
It's harder to die in the day-to-day. And I think that's where we just miss it. Like, Jesus died in the day-to-day.
Right.
Jesus washed feet.
Right.
God put skin on, came down here, and he washed.
Right. So it's not just
feet.
that one big act at the end of his life.
It's
in the day-to-day.
It's the whole life. I mean, yeah, he grew up and there's not all this stuff really about it and stuff. There's just little stories like when he was born and they went to Egypt and then he went to the temple. And then we got this big pause where he was a carpenter working in nowhere.
And just he made great stuff for people. And he probably gave people beds for free and lots of
building things and doing things and, serving people and doing stuff. He wasn't like, oh, well, you need to. He wasn't a king sitting in a palace.
Right.
Like with people serving him. And that was the big thing that the religious people, the Pharisees, the Sadducees, they didn't see that. They're like, oh, no, this is God. And then even the people who started to believe the same thing, they're like, yes, God's here. He is here. The promised one, Emmanuel, is here. And then Jesus says, I didn't come to take over. I came to serve.
Yep. All good.
And that so many people just walked away because it's like, what do you mean? That's not what we're waiting for. I read this really interesting thing the other day, and I think it was in one of the commentaries in the Bible I'm reading this year. I don't remember exactly where it was, but it was talking about Jesus, like Palm Sunday, and the people coming in and them laying down the palms and all this stuff. Well, the actual story of that is not, if you look deeper into it, the palm was a symbol of Rome. So when they were laying these down in front of Jesus, they were saying, okay, Jesus, come end this, take it over. So as Jesus is coming in, they're laying down the oppression of Rome and stuff in front of him, thinking, okay, the king is here. He's going to make this right, and he's going to change it.
Right.
But then when he goes into Jerusalem and when he gets crucified, when he's there and they're trying him and stuff, they're like, you're not who we thought you were.
Right, because they had expectations.
Yes.
And they expected Jesus to come in a certain way and take over the government and be the actual ruler. And people today have expectations of who Jesus should be.
Or who their husband should be, or who their wife should be.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not, and I think it's twofold. I think the world has an expectation of who your husband and wife should be, which is far from what God designed. It's far from what biblical marriage looks like.
And a perfection ideal, too.
Yeah. And I mean, it's hard. Let's look at Jesus' life. If it's the thing that's perfecting you, if it's the thing that's making you holier, if it's the closest thing you get to walking with Jesus, and being molded in that time frame till the end of your life,
wow,
it's not going to be easy.
No.
The other side of that, we have this idealistic religious side of it. I'm not going to say Christian. I'm going to say religious side of it, where it's like, oh, okay, we went to church and we're saved, so this is what's going to happen. He's going to serve me every day, and he's not going to make a mistake, and he's always going to put me first. The other side of that, oh, well, you know what? She's going to serve me every day. We're going to have this perfect marriage. And even if you do get the law of priority, God, spouse, kids, everything else, you and I get that.
Well,
But we
it'd be
screw
easy
it
to be
up.
legalistic about it too.
Absolutely. We screw
Like,
it up.
I mean,
We still screw it up.
you could get
we tell people
upset
all the
if
time.
I can't think of an example, but somehow doing something in the moment, and you could be very legal, like anyone could be very legalistic about that as well.
And I think that's important. It doesn't make us, like, if we have said yes to Jesus, or we have given our lives to him and everything like that, a lot of times we have the perception, both ways, whether it's us or someone else, that, you know what, all right, God, I gave it all to you, fix it. I mean, I think that's just what we come to it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people come into it. It's like, all right, God, I have screwed it up. I get it. Fix it. And he will, but not today.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the other thing on the other spouse, it's like, all right, we're working towards this, and today's the day. Like we have people go on retreats, and it's like, okay, and like the scales are off your eyes. You see it, you get it, and then you get home, and life happens.
Life
And a
happens.
few weeks later, that perfect idea of the weekend where we just spent working on us, it's like, why are you doing this? You didn't put me first. And we get really selfish, or our perspective shifts or something like that. And when that happens, we're just not dying to the other person. We're not putting them first. We're going back to our selfish ways and stuff. So it goes both ways. It doesn't matter if you're a Christian. That's not a gauge of who you are. It's
So
not a gauge of your salvation.
It's probably good. It's a good thing that I broke my foot, and that the water tank blew up, and that
we missed a dinner last night. What else do we just
whatever. All of the bad stuff that happened this week to show us that we're stronger than we were. And, we're not perfect, but it shows me that at least this week, that in itself is my miracle.
And I think the other side of that's crazy you said that, because we've seen so many miracles lately. But that's the other thing. Like, we need to celebrate the small victories. We need to acknowledge those things to one another. Mm-hmm. Because so many times, like, we might see something, but if we never acknowledge it, the other person doesn't get the benefit of that, of just to know, okay, they see what I'm doing. Seen. They see my heart. I'm seen. Other side of that, if you are that other person, it kind of can make it so that you're like, why I'm bending over backwards. I'm doing whatever, and not being.
I love you.
And not being seen, which sucks, for that side of it. So that's why the acknowledging of those things, because chances are it's not big things. God's not going to. Big things matter. Big things matter. Big things happen. There's a whole lot more small things than there are big things. Yeah. And that's kind of like the arguments and stuff. If 314 days of the year you're arguing about stupid small things, petty things, maybe 10, be generous, 20 days of the year, there's these big, like, horrible whatever. But even if it is, if we're not acknowledging the small things, when those 10 or 20 big ones happen on the positive side, it's only 10 or 20. It's like, it's less than 10%. But those little ones are always there. So we always have a chance to speak into our spouse. Yep.
So next time we'll be back home.
Yeah. We will. We'll be back home soon. We will. I don't know if we'll have someone. We actually have
the verdict on my foot.
Yeah, we'll figure that out. We'll head to the orthopede on Friday, hopefully. Unless she wakes up and God just said, you know what, Kristen, you're all set and you're all healed up tomorrow. But I don't think so. But I
Faith.
will
We
pray
have
that
no
because let me
faith.
tell you what,
We'll let them
I have
tell you.
messed that up a couple times that I clearly know of, where I'm just like, God, please fix this. God, please let the healing be quick and let it be easy and not much,
And God took it away.
And God just took it away.
Yep.
And just in crazy ways. And that's one of the miracles we saw.
Well, that's what I was hoping
recently,
was going to happen.
But we will let those people tell that story here soon. And we also have some more people that are interested in being on and stuff. But we got new toys so we can be a little more mobile. We got some new mics and some new stuff. So
we can take it on the road.
We don't have to be in the studio at home. So we'll see how it goes. See how this one looks when we're all said and done. But it's, acknowledge your spouse. Share the little wins with them.
Little victories, and
absolutely
tell them you appreciate the little stuff too.
Absolutely. So,
which you're better at. You're better at the little stuff than me.
I'm better. Nice. I'm better at the little stuff.
I don't know. I guess we're better at stuff in our own way. Like I do appreciate how helpful you have been when I'm in pain, but.
So you're saying, God, give me more pain so he can be more helpful.
No.
Okay.
But when you need me to grab something for you or go to the door or fix something or whatever, I'm good in that stuff too. So I guess we're both. We're a good team.
Absolutely. So we got a crazy month here.
Yep.
Because we have we got so much stuff going on. It's group time, so we got lots of groups going on.
Because we get a break every single week because we do Sabbath.
Yes.
So we get a beautiful rest every week. So it doesn't matter how busy the rest of the week is.
But in a few weeks, less than 4.
The EXO Marriage Conference.
We've been working on it for a while. We got to do it last year. We're doing it again this year. We are coordinating the EXO Marriage Conference at our church.
If you are in the Buffalo, Western New York area, or if you want to come to the Buffalo, Western New York area, March 14th and 15th at Life Church Buffalo. And if you go on the church's website and you go to events, you can sign up, and there's an early bird until next Sunday, which is the 23rd.
Yep. You can save some money.
And then after that, you can still register.
But yeah,
80 per couple or 65 per couple.
65 now for the early bird to save some money. Last year was great. We had a lot of great food. We had a grazing table, really amazing stuff. We're doing that again, doing lunch on Saturday. It's Friday night from 6:30 to 9-ish. Saturday, we're probably going to run from about 8:30 to 3. Yeah. We haven't gotten all the times down yet. It's a simulcast of the EXO conference in Texas.
Plus, there'll be live speakers.
So we're pulling a lot of speakers from that. Also, there will be live speakers. Breakouts. We're going to have a bunch of breakouts.
Lots of giveaways.
Tons of giveaways. Some games we're going to play.
Yeah, it'll be great.
We have a photo booth. Lots of cool stuff. But if you're available, March 14th and 15th in Buffalo.
If you're not married and you're a couple, come see us too, because it's not just for married couples.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're not married, you don't even have to be engaged. Dating, and you could be thinking about one day getting married. We actually had someone last year who came by themselves.
Yep.
And this year they're coming with their fiance because they're getting married in July. So,
all right, guys.
Check out our other episodes, Marriage in the Buff. Like the podcast, comment, subscribe. We're here every Thursday. Well,
Bye.
Have a great week. See you later.